Welcome to Roadshow's AutoComplete, your weekly roundup of the biggest news in the automotive world. This week we have news on Geely's Lotus Volvo engine deal, Northern California's Blackouts, and Dyson's EV project. But first, let's start with Continental's self-inflating tire concept. Tires may seem like big, dumb, round rubber donuts, but they're one of the most important parts of your car. Not only that, but they've been the beneficiaries of some pretty serious engineering and technology over the years. That level of tech could be ramping up in a hurry though, if Continental has anything to say about it. See, the brand unveiled a tire concept that is packed full of sensors and has the ability to maintain its own pressure accurately at all times. It can even inflate itself without being dismounted from the car. Conti is calling the concept CARE, which stands for Connected, Autonomous, Reliable, Electrified. Will this thing be hitting the road anytime soon? Probably not, but it's a cool idea. Chinese auto super conglomerate megacorp Geely owns Volvo. It also owns famed British sports car manufacturer Lotus. It would only make sense that it would help cut costs by sharing tech between the two brands, and it looks like the first big example of that may be an engine sharing agreement where Volvo's twin-charged 4-cylinder engines would start finding their way into future Lotus models. We're guessing that this would be a huge cost savings for Lotus in particular, which has been buying its engines from Toyota for years now. Plus, maybe Lotus will make the Volvo engine sound cool, something it desperately needs help with. Light-duty, full-size pickups with small, efficient diesel engines are rapidly becoming a thing, and that's a trend we can really get behind. We've had all the relevant details on diesels from Ford and Chevrolet, but we've been waiting eagerly for fuel economy data on Ram's new EcoDiesel engine. Thankfully, that data's here now, and the results are, well, they're pretty good, but not quite as good as Chevrolet's oddly frugal Duramax inline 6 by 1 mile per gallon. Now that's not much of a gulf, and the Ram has tons of other positive features like its massive center screen and, generally good looks. So we don't anticipate most buyers really giving too much of a crap. There was a time when Toyota's RAV4 crossover was just a cute ute for mall walking enthusiasts. But those days are gone, bud. That's because Toyota is offering a TRD Pro version of the crossover, and while it's definitely not as burly as, say, the 4Runner, it's pretty burly. It's apparently inspired by Ryan Millen's Rally RAV4, and that's also really cool. Unfortunately, if you gotta have that TRD Pro, you're gonna have to fork over a surprisingly large amount of greenbacks for it. The TRD Pro RAV4 is gonna start at $36,300, which is less than $1,000 under the cost of a base model 4Runner. Is it worth it? Well, we'll have to drive it to find out. Remember how Dyson was gonna take all its vacuum cleaner and hand dryer expertise and channel it into a badass, world-beating electric car? Yeah, it turns out that was a bit ambitious, and now the company has decided to pull the ripcord on its EV development program. It's citing an inability to make the car commercially viable as the reason for shuttering its plans. The $2.5 billion investment that was slated for the car to get it on the road is now going to be funneled into other decidedly non-vacuum cleanery stuff like artificial intelligence. This seems like a particularly risky move because I think we all remember what happened in Terminator 2 when a guy named Dyson got into developing AI. Lexus is getting ready to pull the sheet off of a fancy new electric concept at the Tokyo Motor Show later this month, and while we've only seen a teaser image so far, the word around the campfire is that it's going to bear more than a passing resemblance to the LF-SA concept that we saw way back in 2015. If you don't remember the LF-SA, it was a small city car-like vehicle that looked a bit like a Gundam, and a Toyota IQ got frisky after one too many drinks at a John Legend concert. This concept is supposed to be electrified, but whether that means it's purely electric or just some kind of hybrid remains to be seen. Northern California continues to be served one crap sandwich after another. Before, it was fires. This time, it's potential fires and massive blackouts in an attempt to avoid them, courtesy of Pacific Gas and Electric, who you may remember as the principal villain from the award-winning film Erin Brockovich. Those blackouts are no joke, but they're proving especially problematic for owners of electric vehicles for reasons that should be obvious. Tesla is working to install power packs at some of its NorCal charging stations and also plans to implement solar panels to help provide more clean, off-the-grid power to its various charging stations. Ram isn't the only FCA company to get a little of that sweet EcoDiesel action. The Jeep Wrangler is getting an oil burner too, and somewhat unsurprisingly, it's going to cost a bunch more money than the base model Wrangler. Unfortunately, It will also only be available with an automatic transmission, which is something we're sure will get hardcore Jeep fans and off-roaders chirping on the internet. Still, having nearly 500 foot-pounds of torque on tap could be good for crawling rocks or whatever it is Jeepers do, so, you know. BMW's M8 is a real heavyweight cruiser, a boulevard bruiser, and now BMW has shown off the 4-door Gran Coupe version, and spoiler alert, it looks great. Especially in this purple color that we're dubbing aspirational aubergine around the office. The cool news is that even though the M8 is real pricey, the Gran Coupe version is a couple of grand cheaper than its less grand, more coupe sibling. Buyers can get the M8 Gran Coupe in either regular or competition flavors, with the latter adding 17 horsepower to the base version's 600 ponies. The cost for all that? A cool $13,000 on top of the $130,000 starting price for the base model. Tesla is seemingly always looking to upset tradition and do things its own way. Case in point is a new patent application that it filed to make its seats heated and cooled by liquid. Liquid heating is how most internal combustion cars handle the H part of their HVAC system, taking waste heat from the engine's cooling system and forcing it through a little radiator in the car's dash. Tesla's system would be more akin to hot water-powered in-floor radiant heating that they love to talk about so much on This Old House. Only instead of snaking tubes through a floor, it would have intermediate layers like a bag where the fluid would be sent, kind of like a waterbed. The liquid cooling of the seats would function much the same way, but we can't really imagine that it'd be terribly more efficient than the current seat ventilation tech available in cars. Of course, this is just a patent application, so there's no telling whether it would ever see production. That's it for AutoComplete this week. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay notified of all new videos on Roadshow, and we'll see you again next week.